Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to an adventure series, and here we go with the final episode for T.E.Lawrence of Arabia. Now, the documentary I'm going to review is the one I've been waiting to review with you guys ever since episode 1 of this adventure series for T.E.Lawrence, and this is called Colonial Lawrence's War, T.E.Lawrence and Arabia. Now, this is probably my favorite documentary I've seen yet. I really like the pacing of the documentary. It's not too short, it's not too long. Like I said, it's got perfect pacing. It starts at the beginning of the story, of the true story of T.E.Lawrence, and it just straight up goes through until the end on, an even storytelling. And there's several people with several different takes on it, and several different fields of interest and fields of profession and work and stuff like that speak along the way. So it's a really informative documentary. It's got all the old photographs you'd want to see. It's got all the old footage you'd want to see. All that kind of neat stuff. It's got some very interesting things that I learned about T.E.Lawrence from watching this documentary is that footage of T.E.Lawrence and his adventures were played in cinemas and theaters around the world post World War I, and this was actually sort of a a nice, well, not nice, but an adventuristic kind of exotic thing to sort of delve into, rather than just thinking about the destruction of war and whatnot. So it's kind of interesting that it worked out that way, but that's what I mean. Like, that's why this guy is on an adventure series. That's why I'm talking about him in this way, because he truly sort of had that adventurous spirit to him, right? And agents were looking for somebody far above and beyond Lawrence's rank, to go against the Ottoman Empire, and it just so happened that just the right circumstances came about that Lawrence ended up being in that position. Arabia, at the time of this conflict, like what this conflict is actually all about, is that they wanted to be an independent state, free of the Ottoman Empire. And it was this desire that spawned the situation that we hear about to this day, taking place in Arabia, and to do with T.E.Lawrence and all of that sorts of really interesting stuff. Lawrence spent most of his early days in Arabia practicing to live off the land, and becoming known amongst the locals. That's another adventure side about this, is when he first got there, he was originally ordered to do liaisons, and he basically just through getting to know people, just through getting to know the environment, just from being where he was, he became an activist for the Arab revolt. So that sort of came as a byproduct as this sort of casual but adventuristic liaisons mission that he originally had. Violence was something that Lawrence was very sensitive to, and he expressed avidly his dislike for killing, and his guilt and heavy emotions for having been witness to it as well. He was really not a violent man at all, and all of this really did, ultimately it probably caused the downfall of him in the end, because a lot of this stuff really shook him as a person. As a man, he tried to write history, and he felt that he failed, and this was due to a lot of political setbacks and a lot of collateral damage to the cause that he became in love with, even though he was in different circumstances that also wasn't necessarily, through and through the most beneficial thing for these people. And so it kind of became a mixed up situation, and he had severe guilt with that for the rest of his life. And at age 46, he died in a motorcycle accident trying to swerve away from two young people on bicycles. And it's very sad. It's very unfortunate that it worked out that way for him. But, he lived an extraordinary life. And I think to this day, regardless of any of that collateral damage or those political setbacks, I think they still very much do admire this guy for what he did, and use him for inspiration in their real life adventures. And I think that's really cool. My conclusion on the subject is that basically I always really liked learning about that area of the world and the history of it, and I always liked the story of T.E.Lawrence of Arabia. And, I always liked the movie. Again, I seen it at a young age, and it was one of those things that, it was one of those old classic movies that stuck with me for a long time. And basically, I think he was a flawed man. I think he had some PTSD and some emotional setbacks due to circumstances that were out of his control. But ultimately, I think he truly was an adventure hero, and I think he truly deserves the recognition that he gets, and more. And it's been a pleasure delving into this character for this segment of an adventure series. I don't know who I'm going to do next, but I have many different people on my mind. And we'll see what hits the census best next, and we will take it from there. Oh yes, and I guess I did not grade the documentary. I'm going to give this one an A+. I did really enjoy this documentary, and here's another little tidbit. This is something that is not known heavily, but it is something out there. You know me, I'm a huge fan of, and this is going to sound really funny, but let me explain. I'm a huge fan of Indiana Jones as a fictional character. And this is a series that came out of the 90s called The Young Indiana Jones. Some people have heard of it, a lot of people haven't. They're not bad. They're not terrible. I'm going to wait to review that. I want to review this one time. But to kind of say it in a nutshell, they don't hold up completely, and I think they could have been done a little bit better. But they're distant enough that you can enjoy them for what they are, and there's certain things that you can contrive to the Indiana Jones adult character from the original trilogy, and have a fun time with that. But if you really don't like these, you can easily they're not known that much, and I mean, I'm pretty sure they're canon, but they're not known that much, and they were kind of just an experiment picture, I guess. So if you like to imagine a different early beginning for origin story for Indiana Jones, I don't think that watching these would really, at least for me anyway, would really get in the way of your experience with it. But what's really cool is that for every disc, there's a whole whack of special features on this. I think there's, 12 episodes, 10 or 12 episodes or something like that. But there's a whole whack of bonus discs or special features. And there's not like special features about the making of it or anything. It's all really, really good. And I mean, I see this like it's not some, like just made for kids, or, some cheesy, action adventure story rendition of something. This is truly one of the documentaries which are contained in this on the special features are truly adult, are truly informative, are truly really well done, and really well made. and well put together, and just really insightful in a lot of things, and covered all kinds of, and it's not just the straight up stuff that you would expect. There's all kinds of, you know, more alternative kind of history stuff that you don't hear about all the time, stuff that's kind of lesser known, stuff that's kind of obscure. Yeah, you know, I mean, I got it for quite cheap, just to, and I was just like, okay, I gotta check this out, see if it's good or bad or whatever. I was kind of stoked to check it out, and whatever, it's kind of, the show's kind of somewhere in the middle, but I highly do not regret buying this, because there is some wicked documentaries on this box set. I'm telling you right now, some very wicked documentaries. So if you can get a hold of this, find it anywhere at the store, or order it online, anything like that, I very much recommend doing so. And one thing I will say is, you want to see another, probably actually the best acting performance of T.E.Lawrence since Peter O'Toole. I repeat, since Peter O'Toole, is in episode 1. There's an ancient Egyptian episode on this, and well, it takes place in the early 1900s, but it centers around ancient Egypt, and they fictionalize this reason that T.E.Lawrence was passing through Egypt, just sort of like on some R&R per se kind of a thing. It sounds kind of funny, but they worked it in all right, and he ends up partnering up with the teacher of the young Indiana Jones, and then Indy himself, and they end up going on this kind of bizarre adventure to solve this mystery, which I won't get into. I'm going to review this some other time in the future, but they end up, like, you know, banding together to solve a sort of a mystery. And it's really fun, it's really cool, and I really thought it was a unique decision to have had something like that, you know, like that's definitely a creative decision to do something like that with the character T.E.Lawrence. And like I said, the character, it's actually amazing how similar the actor in this looks like Peter O'Toole. Like, seriously, looks a hell of a lot like Peter O'Toole, and they chose it right. The actor right for a look-alike of Peter O'Toole. And yes, so I highly recommend checking out at least that episode anyway. So that is my final episode for T.E.Lawrence of An Adventure series, everybody. Episode 5. Thank you very much for watching. Please come back for more adventure series will be coming as soon as possible.